This is going to be an interesting video, because when it comes to players like these, it's difficult to actually find the things to talk about, because when it comes to guys that score a lot of points, it's easy to say, hey, look at this play, where the guy goes out there, he makes a dangle, he puts it through the opponent's legs, he takes it back, he centers it, he shoots, and he scores, something like that. It's easy to do that for guys that get points upon points upon points, but for players like these, who don't score too many points, but who do everything else around the points extraordinarily well, it's difficult to find those isolated moments that really sell you on having a conversation about this player in the first place. So today, we're going over an update on a former Montreal Canadien, a relatively young Montreal Canadien, and a current New York Islanders guy, that in which it appears Islanders fans are liking very, very much. Today we're going back over to one of the top Canadiens prospects of yesteryear and talking about Alexander Romanov, because when it comes to how he's played so far in the 2-game sample he has had with the Islanders, sure, the guy has 0 points, but just based off of everything that I'm seeing, it appears that Islanders fans have a lot to cheer about. So, just going over the story so far, Alexander Romanov was a former Montreal Canadiens second-round pick in the 2018 draft. Back when he was taken 38th overall, a lot of Canadiens fans said, wait a minute, what the hell? Who the heck is this guy? Because he was ranked to go so much later by Future Considerations and Bob McKenzie, a lot of Canadiens fans were very much questioning of the second-round pick. He is a 6'1", 209 left-handed defenseman, so a pretty standard-sized dude, born in January of the year 2000, so he's just a few months older than I am. Romanov, back in 2017, upon getting drafted, was playing for, and you're gonna have to bear with me here, Krasnaya Armia Moscow in the MHL, which is the junior league in Russia. He had 14 points in 37 games over there. It wasn't really the most impressive when it came to scoring, but there was a pretty good profile for a guy that went out there and just did everything else right. He was physical, he could cut off passing lanes, he could make some good reads, and it's why the Canadiens took him in the second round. The next season, he went out there and played a full year in the KHL, while also being over a point per game for Team Russia at the World Juniors. This is where he put himself on the map, and it's why Canadiens fans got super hyped up for Romanov as he eventually became a Montreal Canadien. He debuted with the team in 2020-2021, getting 6 points in 54 games played. The season after, he had 13 points in 79 games, and while he wasn't really going out there and producing, a lot of Canadiens fans could still look at him and say, yeah, he's a young defender, he's growing into what he was probably supposed to project it to being in the first place, which was a stable, two-way capable guy that's not going to light the score sheet on fire, but is going to be a very serviceable player. Somebody that you throw out there with 2 minutes left on the penalty kill when you have a 1-goal lead and you really desperately need to win the hockey game. He is just that defensive rock that a lot of Canadiens fans were saying, yeah, it's going to be really nice by the time Romanov, Cooley, Arbor-Xhekaj, all these other big behemoths of defensemen are all primed and developed, because when they're all on the team together, it's going to be like the second coming of Sherratt and Weber and Edmondson, but maybe just a tad better, with a little bit more offensive flair, might I add. For Alexander Romanov, even though he was that point-per-game defenseman at the World Juniors all those years ago, I don't think anybody was really going out there and expecting him to become that at the NHL level. It was all just more security, saying, hey, there is somewhat of an offensive ceiling here. You're just really going to manifest that in Romanov by having him make the right plays, just make the right breakout passes, and send things forward, because if you have players on your team that can score, that's how Romanov is going to get his points, because he makes a breakout pass over to a guy like Cole Caulfield, who comes in, he shoots, and he snipes it. Eventually, though, Alexander Romanov was traded over to the Islanders in a trade which saw the Canadiens pretty much swap Romanov away for a 13th overall pick. That 13th overall pick was then sent over to Chicago for Kirby Dach, and Romanov is what the Islanders got in return. Now, you could say this is a very good return on investment for Montreal. You turned a second-round pick in Alexander Romanov into Kirby Dach. You had to throw in some extra draft picks there to make it work, but at the end of the day, that's kind of what you did. But when it comes to what the Islanders gave up, this is something that I think a lot of Islanders fans are addressing with very positive emotions. Because sure, you traded away the 13th overall pick to get Alexander Romanov, but when it comes to what Romanov is doing now with the Islanders, Sure, you gave up 13th overall, but I think it might actually be kind of worth it. Because as we said, Romanov's at 0 points, so what the heck else is he doing that's actually providing value to the Islanders? Well, it all comes in who he's paired with, and what he's allowing this other player to do. Romanov, at the time of recording this audio, has been playing alongside of Noah Dobson. And when it comes to Noah Dobson, I have the guy on my fantasy team in the pool I share with Hot Take Hockey, Audie James, etc. because Noah Dobson is a very good defenseman. In the 2 games played he's had so far, he's got 2 goals. When it comes to Alexander Romanov, this is the player that has such an anchor-like ability to just be a proper defenseman that it allows his partner in Noah Dobson to do what it is that Noah Dobson does and take over an offensive shift. Dobson is a guy that I definitely do think can be one of the top offensive defensemen in the entire NHL by the time he hits his prime. The guy is only, 22 years old? And Romanov is paired alongside of him, being the rock that allows Dobson to go out there and do his thing. We had made a video a few days ago talking about Mattias Samuelsson of the Buffalo Sabres, and how even though the Sabres signed an extremely expensive contract, I mean, $30 million is not cheap, to a guy who hasn't even scored his first NHL goal yet, they want Samuelsson to be the guy alongside of Dahlin long-term because that pairing works. Because Dahlin can absolutely take over a shift, he can score a heck of a lot of points, and if he ever gets caught trying to chase a point or two, trying to chase a goal, pinching in a little bit too deep, you have Samuelsson who plays a reliable defensive shutdown game who can back up Dahlin. Dobson and Romanov kind of have a similar sort of system over there, and when it comes to Romanov, the guy had 5 block shots in the 7-1 win over the Ducks. He now has 14 block shots in his first 2 games with the team. This has always been the quality that a lot of Canadiens fans admired the most about Romanov, is that in his own zone, he did what needed to be done. He was just an absolute sacrificial defenseman who was going out there, making the proper plays, blocking shots. You could see that there's a leadership quality to him that puts the team and puts the play above himself 99% of the time. He's physical, he's a good leader, he makes the right reads, he plays clean for the most part, and he's paired alongside of Noah Dobson. Sign me up long-term for this type of pairing, man, because if Dobson really does blossom into what he could be, and you remember that Romanov still has an offensive flair to his game as well that just kind of lays dormant a little bit, but it's still kind of there, long-term, the Islanders might have themselves a very good 1-2 punch on this pairing right here. You gotta remember both Romanov and Dobson were drafted in 2018 as well, so these guys are the same age, they're progressing on the same timeline. I'd say that Dobson is more talented. I mean, the guy had 50 points last year, he's a very good defenseman, but having him alongside of Romanov, it's a very nice stylistic fit that Islanders fans I've been seeing everywhere have been praising to heck. Sure, you gave up 13th overall, you gave up a chance to draft Frank Nazar, who eventually went to Chicago after Kirby Dach was traded over to Montreal, but there is an immediate impact that Romanov is serving today. And if he's logging, let's say 25 minutes a night, by the time he's in his prime, he's 26 years old, and he's getting 25 minutes a night, he's giving out some pretty good passes, breakout passes, he's allowing Dobson to do his thing. There's significant value in guys that you can just trust to go out there and not allow goals against. Romanov is one of those guys at his best, and he's definitely growing into, I think, a more responsible defenseman as the years go on. So, talk in the comments your thoughts if you're an Islanders fan. What are your opinions about Alexander Romanov and what he has shown off on your team so far? Do you like the pairing with Dobson? Do you think that he allows Dobson to play better himself because there's more offensive rain? Do you think for the Montreal Canadiens they made a mistake in trading this guy away? A lot of Habs fans are happy for Dach right now, and they're very happy with him, so I'm not sure what the Montreal fan base is thinking about. Heck, if they're even thinking about Romanov at all in the first place. So, Islanders fans, talk in the comments your thoughts about your newest Russian defenseman, the big, mean Russian machine, a brick wall of a guy who can block shots, make hits, and just make the right plays. I hope you enjoyed this video, Trolls99, and bye.